And hello, everybody. Welcome to the first week in Information Systems. We are focusing this week on what Information Systems is about, and that is people, technology, processes, and structure. So just at a high level, right, I want you to understand this week that managers play an essential role in the successful implementation and use of information systems. That strategic planning is a process for the IS organization, and the factors that influence strategic planning depend on how the organization is perceived by throughout the organization itself. We'll talk about that. And then the last principle that I want to mention is that information system workers, they operate at the intersection of the business and technology. That's you. At the intersection of business technology, I could expand on that. Design, builds, implementation, solutions, etc., etc. So this is where we're going. This is kind of the summary slides, the objectives we'd like to accomplish this week. So why learn about information systems? Well, I'd like to point out that many corporate leaders are using technology to rework their products and services. So the more familiar you are with any of these innovations, the more valuable you will be to your organization. And this in turn will advance your career, right? So the rest of the slide is worth pausing and reading on. So what is an information system then, if it's that important? Well, we define an information system as this set of interrelated components that work together to support fundamental business operations. This is data reporting, data visualization, data analysis, decision making, communications, etc. So I'd like to emphasize here that a well-designed information system includes some form of feedback mechanism to monitor and control the operations as you go. And so we want to review the various types of computer-based information systems that we use every single day in our organization. Excuse me. And then I will pose this question as I conclude this slide, and that's, what are some of the information systems that you use every day, and how does that technology make your life easier? If you pause, reflect on that, I think you'll get a lot out of it. Now, information systems are a means to achieve a competitive advantage, right? And so a competitive advantage is going to enable an organization to generate more sales or achieve more or superior profit margins, right, compared to its rivals. That's a competitive advantage. And so the ways you can gain a competitive advantage are by providing some value as competitors over your competitors, right? But maybe at a lower price. That would be cost leadership. Or maybe by charging a higher price for products that are perceived by the customer as being better. That would be differentiation. Starbucks comes to mind, right? As they integrate their people, processes, and technology to achieve that end. Or you might achieve this competitive advantage by understanding and servicing a target market better than anyone else, right? And so managers in this case have a key responsibility when attempting to identify and use information systems to gain an advantage. Okay, so managers now, they play a key role in implementing this successful information system process. There is a tool, for example, called Levitt's Diamond. Okay, and Levitt's Diamond is a model that states that an organization's information systems has to operate within the context of people, the technology infrastructure, the processes that you put in place, and the structure. We'll look at a figure of that in a moment. But, excuse me, managers of the business functions most affected by any new information system, this is gives them a key responsibility that will ensure that the people, processes and technology are fully implemented and put in place. And the people component of Levitt's model involves an information system in many ways, right? People envision information systems and the benefits that they can deliver. People design and build the information systems. People support and maintain these information systems, et cetera, et cetera. So as a result, I'd like to emphasize that people must be motivated to use these new information systems. So one of the problems is creating a change-driven organization that will adapt to your new technology, processes, and procedures, etc. Now here is Levitt's diamond discussed, right? And so you can see the people, processes, structure, and technology. These are the things you should consider when implementing or managing information systems. For example, a lot of times we will add a new information system, maybe an antivirus alerting function in our infrastructure. But what we don't account for are the number of people that will be required to maintain it, to analyze it, right? Because it comes down to total cost, right? Total cost. And we tend to think of total cost in terms of just the rollout. To be honest, we should have a total cost of ownership, or a TCO approach, which would incorporate everything in this diamond, right? And so the technology infrastructure component of Levitt's diamond is all of the hardware, the software, the databases, the network facilities, etc. The processes are a structured set of related activities, I think in terms of process flowcharts, that takes input, adds value, and creates an output along the way. The procedures aspect of this is a set of steps, defined steps that need to be followed to achieve the end result that you're looking for, such as entering a customer order or paying a supplier invoice, etc. And then the structure aspect of Levitt's diamond is about the relationships among the members of an organization, including their roles or responsibilities, their lines of authority necessary along the way. Now, there's some more about the manager's role in implementing. I've mentioned people, I've mentioned employees are a requirement for success, right? You'll have to incorporate training into this new information technology system. Maybe it'll be an annual refresher. Maybe it's only meant for certain people within the company, so it would be role-based training is another way to look at that. Consider, again, that technology infrastructure. I've already talked about that a little bit. Now, here is just a little more detailed view of how you might project spending based on your implementation. Like I said, you want to talk in terms of TCO, or total cost of ownership. I've already mentioned processes and procedures as well, but you're welcome to pause on these slides and take a quick read for yourself as we go through this. Now, I will say that there are types of information systems. And so when you're considering the role of people that are using the information systems, I think it's useful to divide information systems up into these various segments, right? There's a personal information system, which improves the productivity of the individual performing the tasks, like word processing, maybe presentation, maybe management, etc. A work group information system supports teamwork, like Microsoft Teams, and enables people to work together effectively in that regard. These can be a smaller team or an enterprise-wide team, or an as well. So from an enterprise information system perspective, these are helping to achieve high-performing structured interactions among the organization's own employees and with external customers, right? And so you might have a role for Salesforce in that regard, I would suppose. And then IOS, or Interorganizational Information Systems, enables that sharing of data and being able to do business electronically across organizational boundaries throughout. So those are the types of organizational systems that you would consider. Now, anything that we implement has to have value, right? And so with value along the way, excuse me, it's one of those mornings, I guess, we have this value chain. So I ask you this question right up front. How does an organization system achieve value of its resources, right? And so the value chain is really the answer to that. We define the value chain as a series of activities or chained events that an organization will perform to transform inputs into outputs. And so I want you to think in terms of I/O, inputs become outputs through these processes using your information technology, and that's information systems, again, summarized, right? And so you can see, here's an example of the value chain presented for us. This is from suppliers to receiving and storage to shipping to advising and promoting and customer service. And I ask you to take a moment just to reflect to yourself. When's the last time you ordered something and it didn't come when it should? Or how long did it sit in receiving somewhere, waiting for just a label to be printed? It's happened to me several times over the recent holidays, right? And it's frustrating because it's a breakdown in the information systems that affects the value chain, making it much less likely that I will do business in that regard with those people. Now, I did say I would touch on strategic planning, and so strategic planning is important. Organizations live or die based on their strategic planning, which should be updated annually. And strategic planning is a process that helps the managers identify initiatives and projects that will achieve organizational objectives. How can you know the organizational objectives if your company above you hasn't done strategic planning, shared it with you, and then you do your own strategic planning as a way to implement or achieve the benefits that they are looking for? And so, speaking of benefits, right, there are benefits to strategic planning. It allows the organization to be proactive. You improve communication. There are multiple considerations that go along with that, including long-term impact of each strategy and profit. That's why it should be reviewed annually. Every business has risk. You can't make money without taking risk. The question becomes, in your strategy, how much risk is acceptable risk, right? And that's a cultural decision as well as an individual risk decision along the way. But the key is that they have to be aligned with each other, okay? And so if you're going to go do strategic planning, I recommend that you identify the resources that you want to invest, and that the information systems plan should influence new technology innovations, maybe support other strategic initiatives going on at the strategic level, involve innovative thinkers, and develop the perception of the IS organization. Okay, and here is an example on slide 21 of this information system strategic planning, excuse me, where we're trying to explain the set IS organizational strategy and determine the information system investment along the way. And so those influencing drivers include new technology innovations, as I mentioned, these innovative thinkers, both inside and outside of an organization as well, and how the IS organization is perceived by the rest of the business unit. Okay, I'm going to pause there. We'll come back to part 2 and wrap it up for week 1.